Hi, my name is Dave Rescue from NowSpeed, and welcome to this edition of In the Now. We're thrilled to have a guest today, Mark, from Red 13 Creative and Red 13 Studios. And we're going to be talking today about some issues about marketing and his experience in business. And Mark, we're just thrilled to have you on the show. So thanks again for being here.
Thanks for having me, David. Appreciate it.
So Mark is the CEO and co-founder of Bamrock. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, Bamrock Entertainment.
Yeah, that's great, which is a creative holding company that oversees the production studio and creative agency Red 13 Studios and Creative. But Mark, you've had a long background in the music industry. As I understand it, you were a founding member, drummer, co-songwriter of the national rock band Prospect Hill, and you became a veteran of the music industry. And you've been doing this for a couple of decades. Is that right? That must have been a phenomenal experience.
It's getting up there in regards to time now. It's funny when I look back, it's like decade sounds crazy, but yeah, I've been doing it since I was a kid, since actually within high school. And then from there, we took it national right out of high school, just started touring and kind of, had to pick it up as we went.
Yeah, I was really been looking forward to this interview with your background in music and marketing. You must be like the most interesting guy to meet at a cocktail party.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're with other guys that are, in the band or people from my world. But yeah, it seems like, I just actually recently spoke at an NFT event, and it was like after I spoke, it was like the whole place everybody was lining up to ask me questions, and I forget sometimes. I'm like, yeah, I guess my background is pretty interesting to
Yeah,
most people.
that's great. Well, I want to talk a little bit about marketing because in the now we're really try to help people understand like what's behind the scenes in marketing and in entrepreneurship and leadership. And so, in your experience, can you help us just smash a myth about marketing, like something in your experience that most people believe that's just not true? That's just out of just difference than what the ordinary person thinks about marketing.
I would say the biggest thing, especially nowadays, is, a lot of people think that marketing is just putting out content, and they think that that is what marketing is, just releasing and putting out as much content as possible. And I think that's where most people get frustrated because then they realize that there's no eyes on any of that content. As much as they keep putting it out and putting it out, there's no actual strategies in order to draw audience in and get the attention on that content. And so I feel like that's one of the biggest myths that goes on right now is just continue to put out content, continue to put out like that's great, put it out, definitely, but you need to actually have a strategy to drive an audience to that content in order to ensure that every time you're releasing something new, there's more audience there, and your audience is growing in between those releases.
Yeah. So unpack that for me a little bit. So in terms of the content, let's talk about the content first and then the marketing piece. What kind of content do you get excited about creating or you think is the most impactful out there for your clients?
Well, it's always about, first and foremost, like understanding the messaging. What is this brand about? What is it that they're trying to offer to the world, that is A, something different, or B, meaningful? And how do we get that across as quickly as possible? With the attention span of everybody out there, and being so short, and with so many different mediums of content being thrown at them from multiple different platforms, it's like, how do you cut through that? And I think that's, the most exciting part is like actually, like, prior to creating the content, is figuring out the strategy and understanding and really doing an intake on a brand, and finding out exactly what it is that they have to offer, what their message is, and what they can bring to an audience in order to stand out. Once we figure that out, then it's like, okay, now how do we creatively come across with a great piece of content with multiple supporting pieces of content, in order to now get that attention and start drawing people in, so then we can start nurturing and building an audience and building an actual fan base around that product or brand or business.
Yeah. Can you think of an example that's like a cool piece of content or a client that you had that would help our listeners kind of understand a little bit about that challenge or that process you went through?
Oh, put me on the spot.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's just so much stuff that we've done. For instance, we have multiple different brands we've worked with, a couple in like the CBD world, and one piece of content, we took this CBD company, and we had to differentiate like what made them different than all these other CBD companies, because so many of them out there now, and it's like, why would you want to go with this one? And they had something that was very unique to how their process was, in regards to, they did everything on that farm, where most people will grow and then send it out to a lab in order to do the extraction, and there's a lot of stuff that happens in between, where there's degradation of the product, stuff gets lost in translation. You don't know what the quality control is once it goes out to that lab. And so one big piece was you making sure that that was known with that piece of content, and showing that process, and allowing their future customer base to see why that was so important, and why they do it, and why that that's what makes them stand out, and get, that's why they have a higher quality product, and it's worth the money, and it's you should be spending your money on their CBD product over somebody else's. So it's really about really understanding what they had to offer over everybody else, why it was important. Like, why do I care about it? Like, why should, just because you think it's a great selling point, so, but convince me. So then once I'm convinced, then now my job is now to go and convince everybody else by creating some really captivating piece of content that portrays that, and also creates some type of elicit some type of emotion out of them, to understand, like, okay, they're doing something great here. They're doing something because they care. And now I want you to understand and feel that they care about the quality of their product, so that at the end of the day, you're getting the best, most undiluted, untarnished product that you're putting and ingesting into your body.
Yeah, that's cool. And you're able to kind of get that essence out and help them communicate that. How do you feel like your background in the music industry kind of helps you, maybe gives you some insight, or kind of helps you go deeper with clients like that?
Well, I'll tell you what. So there's like many aspects of like why I feel like we have an advantage in regards to, what we do because of the music industry. Like, first and foremost, like, I'm a songwriter. My whole team we're all songwriters. We've all, we're accomplished songwriters. We've won multiple Billboard charting awards, and we've done very well. And there's a key to the success of, when you're structuring out a song and arranging it properly. It's like, you need to capture the essence of what that song is trying to, the message of that song right away. You want to get the listener in, and you want to get to the hook as fast as possible. And so that's something you have to do in songwriting, and that's also what you have to do now visually. And you're seeing that more and more with all of the content that's just continuously, coming through, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. It's just so much. So it's like, how do you cut through, and how do you get that message across as quickly as possible? And you do it in a way that stands out, and it's engaging. So that was one aspect of it. And then the other aspect of it is, we think outside of the box, because when you're you're an independent artist, you have to figure out ways to create on limited budget. So you always have to expand your mind and figure out ways of making it look like it's $100,000 budget, even if you only have a $10,000 budget or a $5,000 budget. So it's like, we've been able to execute on that as well. And that's one of our strongholds, is like, we can visualize something, and then figure out, okay, yes, we might not have the budget to rent a helicopter, blow the thing up in midair, and then have people, but what can we do that will still get that idea across, and do it within the budget? That's what we're great at. And we're scrappy. And that's because, over the years of having to do it on our own, and having to do it with limited budget, we've been able to figure it out. So we're, essentially, we have brands and we have companies coming to us because they know that we're going to make that dollar go the furthest, and we're there to actually create something that's super creative and fun and exciting.
Yeah, that's great. So let's go to the second part of your myth buster, which is, how do you then get the eyeballs on it? So you guys are scrappy, you're creative, you create this awesome piece of content for your client. How do you help them get traffic, get views? Because there's so much out there.
Well, the first thing is identifying like who their audience is, figuring out what the avatars are, what the buyer profiles are, and then understanding where those buyer profiles where do they exist? Where are they buying? Where are they searching for this product or this solution? And then once you understand that, then you have to create targeted ad strategies around that, and whatever platform that is, then you utilize that content. And it's about building out lead magnet strategies, and dialing in, whether it's a Google, through Google ads, with understanding the keyword research, and then really like building out that tree on that side of that, and then obviously trimming it down so that you're not spending money on negative keywords. Obviously, I know understand that world. And then also attacking Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, any of those formats, but ensuring that there's budget attached so that we're targeting and hitting the right people. So that's one of them. It's like, all right, let's do that and understand there are multiple avatars and multiple different platforms that we can attack, and then do it in a way that it's an omni-channel presence where they're seeing it across multiple platforms. And then there's a whole nurturing setup as well on either drip email and drip text message and drip ads in general, just to ensure that we're continuously hitting them, selling them, and then bringing them into the funnel. So that's one of them. And then the other one is also utilizing some influencer strategy. Like that's always a big one, is finding the right influencers that share the same target audience, or at least a broad target, and ensuring that we're utilizing them to position out that content as well. And then there's obviously the traditional means in regards to like radio and print, but we don't really exist in there too much. We don't really play around there, or television. We do have agencies that will outsource if someone really wants it, but we're usually effective without any of that. And you typically, like your average brand or business that's using those old traditional methods is not someone that would probably work with us anyway. So we're mostly on the digital side in regards to building out the ad strategies across social media, building out the lead pages, building out the contact forms, and then creating the whole infrastructure on nurturing.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you've got, you're kind of creating this omni-channel strategy. You're out there with all the things that are going to work. Tell me about some of the hotter, newer techniques. So obviously, influencer marketing is huge, and it's really come on strong. Platforms like TikTok, you're seeing those as effective as other channels? Are those your go-to channels now, or is it better to go with, TikTok versus a Facebook, Instagram, or does it just always vary all over the map? And how
It's
you kind of think
always
about these
it's
new channels?
it's all varied, but I think one of the things that right now is like taking off, and you're seeing it because it's being adopted across all the platforms, is Reels. So that piece of content right now is probably the most engaged piece of content, and they're a little longer formatted, and they can be less quality in regards to the edit structure, but there's like a very nice formula that everyone's seems to be engaging with, is with the text on the screen, those captions there, because a lot of people are kind of surfing with the audio off. So being able to build those out and create those, and creating like this micro content, we call it snackable content. So any of the snackable content that you can continuously put out there will eventually catch the attention, and then further engagement across other platforms, and then from there bring them into your funnel. So the building out creative reels and for instance, like we're potentially going to be working with this barbecue company. I can't talk too much about it yet, but it's basically like a grill add-on, and it's pretty cool. So it's like, you can create this like amazing, massive shot commercial for it that could be great on television, but like you don't really need to, but you just need to create something that's really engaging, that shows how the product is used, why you want to use it. And you could do that with a really creative reel or multiple of them. And then from there, it's like you can then get that product into the hands of influencers that fall within that industry, and then have them use it, have them film their content. Then you can repurpose that content and use those as lead magnets.
Yeah, cool. So there's like so many ways you can put all these pieces together. Talk to me about the influencer side. So you're creating all this content, you got the reels, and then is it just a matter of reaching out individually to influencers? Do you use software to kind of find the right ones? Do you like focus on one? Do you go for dozens? Like, how do you think about it? Such a wild, it's the wild west out there, or is it? And have you kind of broken the code on influencers?
Well, it's micro and macro influencers, so it's like, quantity sometimes over quality, and it really depends because the I'd say the micro influencers have, probably the most like buyer engagement because those people that are following them, there's not as many, but the ones that do follow them are more engaged and actually trust them. It's before they've gotten so big. And then obviously for brand awareness, you're going with the bigger guys. That's where you want to get the name out there. You go with the higher follower and higher engagement rates. And in regards to finding them, I mean, we have our own personal network just from years of being in the entertainment industry. We have multiple different management companies and agencies that we work with that rep a ton of them. And in regards to figuring out who's best for the campaign, it's really just we can reach out to the agencies and the managers that we have and say, hey, this is something that we're working on. Do you have anybody in particular? But the other side of it is just kind of doing some research, like really just first and foremost, like that's what we do. We just kind of go out there and see who's moving the needle within this niche. It's like we're always going niche, very niche. And we do have some that are like broad for the awareness. I have a partnership with an agency that owns like, probably billions worth of real estate in regards to followers across Instagram. So that's one of the ones we use for like just getting out awareness. But honestly, the conversion rates are always better with the smaller, the micro influencers.
Yeah, that's really cool. So let's just talk about you a little bit. So, what do you love most about your career, or what you've been able to accomplish with your business?
I'd say my favorite thing is just every day is different. Like someone asked me yesterday, like, "Oh, is this what you do every day?" And I was like, "No, actually, this is every day is different, right? Like this will be my like you and I spoke off camera right before, and I was telling you that I have an artist up here. I only take on a couple artists a year now because the agency side with the brands and the businesses is just it's the main driver of revenue right now for the company. But on the artist side, we'll take on a couple a year. And right now I have an artist up from the Key West and we're building out his catalog of songs. So it's kind of fun, so for like the next like, week and a half, I'll be writing songs every day. And that's cool, and I'll be taking, phone calls and doing podcasts like this and, a couple lunch meetings in between, but primarily for the next 2 weeks, I'll be songwriting. And then after that, I probably won't write a song for another like 4 months, who knows, but it's not something that's consistent. And then I'll be shooting, content for some of these other contracts that we have. I'll be producing those. I'll be overseeing that. I'll be taking, it's every day is a different day, whether we're shooting content, producing it, coming up with strategy, building out proposals, meetings, doing the podcast. And then like right now we're developing a script right now for a feature film. So that's like something that's ongoing as well. And that's fun, so we're doing a lot.
Yeah, that's so cool. It sounds like you've got a lot of really fun things going on out there. One of the things we talk about in my company a lot is how we're changing the world, through the work of our clients. How do you think about your work, whether it's in songwriting or with your band or the marketing you're doing? How do you feel like it's making an impact on the world in general? Is it, you kind of think about it as like, hey, I'm making money and I'm serving my family, and that's a good thing? Do you feel like you're making an impact and changing the world in some way? Or how do you think about that?
So we have multiple different things that we'll do throughout the year in regards to like charitable contributions, and we offer our time and our services for them. For instance, like one of them's the ride for kids, and we'll do a lot of stuff like that. And as of lately, we've been working with an ALS like charity as well. So we kind of pick and choose just based off of what's going on at the time. We had a very close friend, and one of my he was the drummer of one of my partner's bands like forever, and he just went he passed away from ALS. So we it was like one of those things that hit home. So it's like, okay, how can we contribute and help others that are been affected like that? So we've been helping with content and helping people get out their stories so that there's more awareness, so that the charity can the the nonprofit can raise more money and then help these people. So it's like we kind of do it that way, where we can just bring our services and bring our abilities and our knowledge on how to help get the stories out there for charities, and we've been doing that. So that's one way we've been able to help. And then another one is we're working on this really big project, and I think it's going to go off well, and it's supposed to be like a family friendly IP, where it's basically television series, movies, video games, board games, toys, everything. It's a very big project. It's something that we've been kind of a part of while it's been developing now for the past like 5-6 years. And now it's being funded, and we've just partnered with one of the biggest Web3 companies in the world right now. And they came in as a 7-figure investor, and we're co-founders on this project, and I think it's going to really impact the world on a positive thing. So in a positive way. It's a positive, family friendly. Like, it's not about the video game isn't about violence. It isn't about it's about a great storyline, and it's something that hopefully, like, once we do the first MVP, it'll bring families together and allow them to play together and grow together and be part of this narrative, and especially as we move into Web3, and we don't really know what that looks like and how that's going to work out, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting.
Wow, that's sounds like a great, interesting project. As you think about the future of your business, what gets you most excited? Is it that project? Is it kind of doing this creative? Is it marketing? Is it more songwriting? What gets you most excited about it?
I think the most exciting part of where I know we're going to be is producing our own content and brands out and bringing that out to the world. And that's through multiple different avenues, and in the projects that allow us to utilize all of our skill set. For instance, this project out there, it's going to allow us to help with strategy, help with social media, help with influencer strategy, help with the digital marketing and the content, but then also the soundtrack. It's going to need all of the music attached to everything that goes on. So stuff like that is like really where we get excited, and things that we actually have skin in the game, where it's the more we go, the more we would prefer to not be a complete service company. We always prefer to work on things that we feel like we can get a partnership on. Obviously, to pay the bills, we're a service company, first and foremost at the time, but as we grow, we'd like to be able to pick projects that we can work on, that we can come on as a partner and build, or our own projects that we have in the works, like such as that script. And so that's really what gets myself and my team excited, is about being able to produce and develop and release our own projects.
Yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, you've got a lot of really cool things going on, and sounds like it's going to be a very exciting year for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been busy. It's been exciting, and it's been a very busy year.
If someone wants to get in contact with you for a potential project or just collaborate with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
I'd say the best way is to, you could email me, mark@red13creative.com. That's probably the best way to reach out.
Yeah. Well, Mark, this has been a great conversation. Thanks for being part of this. And I loved hearing all the depth of your background. I'd love to hear more of your music and what you're producing, and just want to stay connected with you and make sure that, I keep learning from everything that you're doing. So thanks for being part of this, and I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. This was great. And if you wanted, you could check out my band as well. We have multiple recordings out on Spotify and all that. The band's called Prospect Hill. We haven't, we play a couple shows a year now. I'm not full-time touring anymore, just because I'm so busy. I got a 4-year-old, I got the company. But you check it out, and we do have a show coming up in October. We do an annual Halloween show in Hampton Beach. So,
Fun.
if you want to come out, let me know. I'll put you on my list.
Yeah, definitely put me on your list. That sounds great. And I'm going to check it out on Spotify right now, right after this call. So thank you. Good talking, Mark. For the rest of your day. Thanks.
You as well. Thank you, David. Thanks for having me.